You know that feeling when you walk into a room and suddenly forget why you went in there? Or when you're mid-conversation and a word slips your mind like sand through your fingers? If that's ever happened to you, and let's be honest, it happens to all of us, you're not alone. But here's what most people don't realize. Those little moments aren't just harmless slips. They're whispers from your brain, gentle nudges reminding you that just like your body, your mind needs exercise to stay sharp. And without it? Well, research shows that cognitive decline can accelerate faster than many of us expect. But here's the good news. Science has uncovered simple, even enjoyable ways to keep your brain agile and resilient, no matter your age. Let me tell you about my friend Harold. At 68, he swore his best days were behind him. He'd retired, stopped reading, and spent most afternoons watching reruns of old game shows. Then one day, he couldn't remember his granddaughter's birthday. It shook him. But instead of resigning himself to getting old, Harold tried something radical. He started playing games. Not just any games, specific brain training exercises backed by neuroscience. Within months, he was reciting poetry he'd memorized as a teen and beating his grandkids at chess. Harold's story isn't a fluke. It's proof that your brain can thrive at any age, if you give it the right tools. The first game on our list might surprise you. It's not some high-tech app or expensive program. In fact, you've probably seen it in your local newspaper. I'm talking about crossword puzzles. Now, before you dismiss this as old news, consider this. A 2022 study in neurology followed adults over 60 for a decade and found that those who did crosswords regularly delayed memory decline by 2.5 years compared to those who didn't. The key? Consistency. Take Ruth, a 71-year-old former teacher I met at a workshop. She starts every morning with coffee and a crossword, even if it's just 3 clues. It's like stretching before a workout, she says. It wakes up my brain. Here's how to make it work for you. Start small. Grab a puzzle book with large print. Keep a dictionary nearby and focus on progress, not perfection. Even tackling 2 clues a day creates new neural pathways. Now let's talk about a game that's less about words and more about patterns. Sudoku. You've likely seen those number grids in waiting rooms, but what makes Sudoku so powerful? It forces your brain to think in multiple dimensions. A study from the University of Edinburgh found that adults over 60 who practiced Sudoku for 20 minutes daily showed improved concentration and problem-solving skills equivalent to people 8 years younger. Take Linda, a 67-year-old retired nurse. After her husband passed, she struggled with brain fog. Then her daughter bought her a Sudoku calendar. At first I hated it, she admits. But now, I carry it everywhere. It's like my brain feels lighter. The trick is to start with 4x4 grids before moving to classic 9x9 puzzles. And here's a pro tip. Use a pencil. The act of erasing and revising actually strengthens cognitive flexibility. But perhaps the most fascinating brain game isn't played on paper at all. It's something humans have done for thousands of years. Storytelling. Wait, storytelling as a brain exercise? Absolutely. Researchers at Harvard found that adults who regularly shared personal stories or even discussed fictional narratives showed significantly better memory retention and emotional resilience. Why? Crafting a story requires sequencing, emotional recall, and creativity, all while activating multiple brain regions at once. Think about Sam, an 82-year-old Waitu veteran who joined a local storytelling group. At first, I just listened, he says. But when I started sharing my own stories, I began remembering details from my childhood I'd forgotten for decades. You don't need an audience to try this. Next time you're alone, describe your day aloud in vivid detail. Imagine you're narrating a documentary. Notice the colors, the smells, the textures. This simple act builds what scientists call cognitive reserve, your brain's buffer against decline. Now you might be thinking, but I've tried puzzles before and didn't notice a difference. Here's the catch. Not all brain games are created equal. The key is to find activities that challenge you just enough, what neuroscientists call the Goldilocks zone. Too easy, your brain gets bored. Too hard, you give up. The magic happens when you're slightly frustrated but still engaged. That's where growth occurs. So if crosswords feel tedious, try alternating them with Sudoku. If numbers aren't your thing, experiment with storytelling or even learning a few phrases in a new language. The goal isn't perfection, it's playful persistence. And here's something crucial many overlook. These games work best when paired with real-world experiences. After all, what's the point of a sharp mind if you're not using it to enjoy life? Take Harold, the man I mentioned earlier. Once, he regained his mental edge. He didn't just stay home doing puzzles. He started volunteering at a community garden, memorizing plant species and teaching neighborhood kids about composting. His games became a launchpad, not an end goal. That's the true power of keeping your mind active. It doesn't just preserve memories, it creates new ones. So where do you begin? Start tonight. Dig out that crossword book buried in your drawer or download a free Sudoku app. Set a timer for 10 minutes and see where it takes you. And if you stumble, good. That means your brain is stretching. Tomorrow, we'll explore another game that's hiding in plain sight, one that's been proven to boost creativity and protect against age-related memory loss. But for now, remember this. Every time you engage your brain, you're not just solving a puzzle, you're building a fortress. You've just seen how something as simple as a crossword puzzle or sharing a story can reawaken parts of your brain you thought were dormant. But here's a question worth pondering. What happens when you combine mental challenges with something your body craves just as much? I'm not talking about diet or sleep, though those matter, but movement. It turns out the connection between physical activity and brain health is far stronger than most realize. Let me explain why this matters. Take Arthur, a 73-year-old, retired mechanic from Ohio. After his doctor warned him about early signs of cognitive decline, Arthur committed to daily Sudoku sessions. But 6 months in, he felt stuck. I was doing the puzzles, but my mind still felt foggy, he told me. Then his granddaughter convinced him to add something new, a 10-minute walk before his brain games. Within weeks, Arthur noticed he was solving puzzles faster and remembering names he'd struggled with for years. Why? Research from the University of Illinois reveals that light aerobic exercise increases blood flow to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, by up to 30%. When paired with mental exercises like Sudoku, the effects compound. Arthur wasn't just exercising his body or mind separately. He was creating a synergy scientists call the dual task advantage. This brings us to our next brain game. 1. That's not a game at all in the traditional sense. It's strategic movement. Before you dismiss this as another exercise is good lecture, let's reframe it. Think of your body as the controller for your brain's most complex games. A groundbreaking 2023 study in Nature Aging found that adults over 60 who combined mental exercises with coordinated movement, like Tai Chi, dance, or even gardening, showed 40% greater improvement in executive function than those who did brain games alone. The reason? Movements requiring balance and rhythm activate the cerebellum, which coordinates not just physical actions but cognitive processes like attention and decision-making. Consider Miriam, an 80-year-old former librarian. She'd done crossword puzzles religiously for years but grew frustrated when her recall kept slipping. Then she joined a weekly line dancing class at her community center. At first, I tripped over my own feet, she laughed. But learning, those steps, counting beats, remembering sequences, it felt like solving a puzzle with my whole body. 6 months later, Miriam's neurologist was stunned. Scans showed increased connectivity between her motor cortex and prefrontal areas, the neural highways governing memory and planning. Miriam's game wasn't just dancing. It was the challenge of merging mental focus with physical precision. Here's how you can apply this. Start with seated marches. While watching TV, lift your knees alternately to waist height, counting each rep aloud. Too easy. Add spelling. Lift your right knee and say a letter of the alphabet. Left knee for the next letter, aiming to reach Z. It sounds simple, but this dual task activity forces your brain to juggle motor skills, language, and sequencing. The ultimate cognitive workout. Now let's address a silent saboteur of brain health. one that often masquerades as relaxation. I'm talking about passive screen time. While streaming your favorite show feels harmless, studies show that adults over 60 who spend over 4 hours daily watching TV experience 20% faster cognitive decline than those who limit it to 2. The issue isn't screens themselves, but the lack of active engagement. Compare this to interactive screen time, like video games. Wait, video games for seniors? Absolutely. A University of California study had adults aged 65-85 play a 3D platform game called Super Mario 3D World for 30 minutes daily. After 6 months, their spatial memory and multitasking skills matched those of adults 20 years younger. The key difference? Video games demand real-time problem-solving and adaptability, the opposite of passive viewing. Edna, a 78-year-old widow from Florida, experienced this firsthand. Her kids bought her a console after she kept complaining about losing her edge. She initially resisted. Games are for grandchildren, but grew hooked on puzzle-based games like Portal. It's like being inside a living Rubik's Cube, she said. Now she hosts a weekly gaming night at her retirement community. But here's the catch. Not all games are equal. Stick to those requiring strategy, like chess apps, spatial reasoning, jigsaw puzzle apps, or quick decision-making, card games. Avoid endless scrolling or autoplay features. Your brain needs resistance to grow. If you're thinking this sounds overwhelming, pause. The goal isn't to overhaul your life, but to integrate these principles into what you already do. Love birdwatching? Turn it into a brain game by keeping a journal where you sketch species from memory each evening. Enjoy cooking? Challenge yourself to modify recipes without written instructions, relying on taste and smell. These aren't chores, they're covert brain training missions. Which brings us to a critical point: consistency over intensity. Neuroscience confirms that 5 minutes of daily mental challenge beats an hour once a week. Why? Each time you practice a skill, your brain reinforces specific neural pathways while pruning unused ones. Miss a day? Those pathways start fading like unpaved roads. But here's the hopeful part. It's never too late to rebuild. A 2024 Johns Hopkins study found that even adults with mild cognitive impairment could regenerate hippocampal neurons through daily 15-minute brain game sessions, provided they stuck with them for at least 6 weeks. So tonight, as you consider tomorrow's routine, ask yourself, where can I insert tiny challenges? Could I brush my teeth with my non-dominant hand to fire up new neural networks? Read a paragraph aloud with exaggerated emotion to engage speech and memory centers? The opportunities are everywhere. Once you start looking, and if you've ever felt that flicker of frustration when a name eludes you, or a task feels suddenly confusing, take heart. That frustration is fuel. It means your brain is fighting to adapt, rewire, and grow. What comes next might surprise you, because the final piece of the puzzle isn't about games at all. It's about something far more primal, something science is only beginning to understand. But that's a story for next time. For now, why not test your brain with this quick challenge? Without looking, how many objects in your current room are blue? Close your eyes and visualize, then check. Whether you're spot on or wildly off, you've just given your hippocampus a healthy workout, and that's what matters. Think about the last time you laughed so hard your sides hurt. Maybe during a lively card game with friends or reminiscing over old photos with family. That joy isn't just good for your spirit, it's fuel for your brain. Scientists have discovered something remarkable. Social interaction isn't merely a pleasant pastime, it's one of the most potent brain games there is. Let me explain why this matters, especially as we age. Meet George, an 81-year-old retired postal worker from Arizona. After losing his wife of 55 years, George withdrew. He stopped attending his weekly coffee group and spent days in silence, his TV murmuring in the background. Within months, his family noticed he'd become forgetful and disoriented. Then his daughter convinced him to join a local chess club. Reluctant at first, George found himself sparring with a 92-year-old former professor who trash-talked like a pro wrestler. "She beat me 10 times straight," George chuckled. "But arguing over those losses, best I'd felt in years." 6 months later, George's cognitive tests showed improvement, a rarity at his age. His secret? The combination of strategic thinking and social banter activated what neurologists call the social brain network, releasing a cocktail of dopamine and oxytocin that strengthens neural connections. This brings us to our final brain game, one that's free, requires no equipment, and is available to everyone. Social strategy games. Think bridge, mahjong, or even group trivia nights. A 2023 meta-analysis in JAMA Neurology found that adults over 60 who engaged in weekly social games had a 35% lower risk of dementia compared to solitary players. Why? These activities demand working memory, tracking others' moves, emotional intelligence, reading opponents, and quick decision-making, all while bathed in the brain-nourishing glow of human connection. Consider the blue zones, regions, where people live longest and healthiest. In Okinawa, Japan, elders gather daily for moashib, a mix of storytelling and cooperative games. In Sardinia, Italy, seniors play mura, a finger-counting game filled with playful deception. These traditions aren't accidents. They're time-tested cognitive maintenance. You don't need exotic rituals, though. Try adapting this. Host a monthly brain potluck. Invite friends to bring a puzzle, riddle, or strategy game. Serve brain-boosting snacks like walnuts and blueberries. The goal? Laughter, camaraderie, and a shared commitment to staying sharp. Now let's address the elephant in the room: loneliness. It's not just an emotional burden. It's a cognitive toxin. Research shows chronic loneliness shrinks the brain's prefrontal cortex as severely as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's the flip side. A Harvard study found that just one meaningful social interaction weekly can reverse 60% of loneliness-related cognitive damage. The key is to make these interactions active rather than passive. Instead of a standard phone call, challenge a friend to a round of 20 questions. Replace "How's the weather?" with "Let's solve this crossword puzzle together over the phone." Take Rosa, a 76-year-old grandmother in New Mexico. When her arthritis made holding cards difficult, her grandson taught her to play digital word games where they compete remotely. "Now we trash talk via text all day," she grinned. "He's 12, so I let him win, sometimes." Rosa's story highlights a crucial truth. Adaptability is part of the game. If your hands ache, try voice-controlled apps like Jeopardy or Trivia Crack. If hearing loss isolates you, join online forums for turn-based strategy games. The medium doesn't matter. What counts is engaging your mind while connecting with others. As we wrap up, let's revisit Harold, the man who reignited his brain with crosswords and gardening. Last spring, he organized a community brain health fair, teaching neighbors to pair mental exercises with hobbies they love. One woman fused knitting with language learning, labeling each stitch in Spanish. A man turned his daily walk into a math challenge, calculating step counts and street addresses. Harold's journey proves something vital. Keeping your mind sharp isn't about adding tasks to your day. It's about weaving cognitive challenges into the life you already love. Where do you stand tonight? Maybe you're intrigued but overwhelmed. Start small. Text a friend. Bet you can't name 10 countries starting with B in 1 minute. When they respond, and they will, you've already begun. Or during your next grocery trip, challenge yourself to calculate the total in your head before reaching the register. Miss by $1. Celebrate anyway. Your brain just flexed its math muscles. Before we part, I'll leave you with this. Close your eyes and picture yourself a year from now. Will you be struggling to recall your favorite song's lyrics, or belting them out at a grandchild's birthday? The difference lies in the choices you make today. Every crossword, every dance step, every shared laugh over a board game. They're bricks in the fortress protecting your most precious asset, your mind. Your turn. Grab your phone and text someone right now. Yes, right now, with a brain teaser. Maybe, what has keys but can't open locks? A piano. Then come back and share in the comments. What's one brain game you'll try this week? Whether it's dusting off an old chess set or inventing a new kitchen trivia game with your spouse. Your ideas inspire us all. And if you've found even one tip here that sparked your curiosity, do us both a favor. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of lifelong learners, because staying sharp isn't a solo mission, it's a team sport. Here's to your next move. May it be bold, joyful, and brilliantly yours.